Aging sucks. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody trick you into any different. Aging is terrible. One of the things that makes aging so difficult is it's often associated with grief. Now, not just because as we age, we tend to lose people around us, but as we age, we also are losing who we used to be. I recently went and visited my neighborhood where I grew up in Franklin, Massachusetts. And there was this big hill. At the time, it was like the biggest hill I could ever imagine, but now it's just a hill. It's a street. And we used to take our bikes to the top of that street and come barreling down as fast as we could. And when you get to the bottom of the street, you turn on another street and then immediately turn. So it's like a zigzag. And there's a bike jump that we used to go off of and fly through the air. It was really dangerous. If it doesn't sound dangerous, it was. Kids, as they made that zigzag part, they would fall off their bikes. One kid was not wearing a shirt one day and he slipped off his bike and he slid across the sand and just completely ripped the side of his body open. Another kid went off that jump and he flipped over his handlebars and he broke his collarbone. But we were young and dumb and we did that all the time. That was like our favorite neighborhood activity. And I went down that street in my car recently and realized I can't do that now for several reasons. Not only can't I, but I wouldn't. And I remember getting a little bit sad that like I'm no longer that version of me. Because there's a grief associated with who you used to be and realizing I can never be that person again. I went to a field where I used to play sports and run around all day long and I realized I cannot do that anymore. So when people try to describe aging as a positive thing, I disagree. I think aging is terrible. And I want to talk about how to age gracefully and gratefully, knowing that aging is such a challenge. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. And it might come as a surprise to hear me say that aging is terrible, and I really honestly don't want anybody to tell you different. But aging it's associated with so many difficult things. I would give anything to wake up tomorrow and be younger. I would give anything. And I'm happy with my life. I have a wonderful career. I have wonderful friends around me. I have great people in my life. I feel quite fortunate. I would give anything to wake up tomorrow on the first day of school, my freshman year of high school. Like, I would love to redo that whole chapter of my life. Not because it was bad, but because it was fun. I didn't have responsibilities like I do as an adult. I didn't have taxes. I didn't have, people in depending upon me in the same way. The most fun I ever had in my life was in that phase of my life, that high school years and college years. I'd give anything to wake up and go back and do those things, especially if I can keep the wisdom that I have now and go back and cherish it. Time is temporary. And while I was going through that time, I didn't know that this would be fleeting. I didn't know. Back then, I remember caring so much about things that ultimately don't matter anymore. Like my high school games against our arch rival. King Philip's High School, we called it KP. Those were our arch rivals, and we wanted to beat them in every sport we played, and really building your whole life around your games against KP. And turns out just a couple of years later, that wouldn't matter one bit. It wouldn't matter at all. That just wouldn't be something that factored into the, meaningfulness of my life. It's hard. But here's the thing I want you to remember. So if I'm sitting here convincing you that aging is not fun and don't let anybody tell you any different, and it's true, but just remember the alternative is far worse than aging, because the only alternative to aging is death. Aging is just a guaranteed part of life. It's kind of the thing that we accept when we go into life, is that we will be aging, and it just beats the alternative. So since we know that is true, then we should work to take care of ourselves and take care of our loved ones. We should work to keep ourselves as fit emotionally and physically as possible so that we can enjoy life instead of experiencing all the negative parts and all of the limitations that come along with aging. Take care of yourself and know that that is the best way to handle this aging process. Thanks for being here. if you wouldn't mind doing me a super huge favor, I would love it if you would share this podcast with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And also, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. And also follow me on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can search for my name, Elliott Connie, or at Elliott Speaks. That's my handle across all platforms. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.